Levi, over to you. Your insights are always the most insightful because David and I are old farts, and
We're old farts.
you
I
Official.
speak
You
to a
forgot
bigger
stinky.
audience, I think.
Old stinky farts. But yeah, who's counting?
Hello and welcome to the Crazy Angels podcast. Today again with Pascal Dennis and David Logan. Hi guys.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Today we are going to talk about a specific topic, and the topic is how to live a dignified life as a creative or as a musician in the age of AI. One of the most important pieces of advice I would give upcoming creators is don't give up. It's really
Yeah,
it's really just the key, because now
it's
you
true.
should take off the pressure of yourself. You don't have to make it before you're, I don't know, 27 and go out again. No, it doesn't work like that. Um, our careers are unfolding at a completely different pace and under completely different circumstances. So realize this, that we live in this time, and you can't really predict if you're going to be able to do music forever. Um, Especially, if you don't know if you can stick to it, because most likely it will take years and years to learn a lot of deep skills, like Pascal mentioned.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so I mean, even I am, I may do a lot of things, but it kind of also doesn't allow me to become a master immediately, as quick, um, in certain things. So yeah, that's one of my.
If I can
Yes,
just
please.
jump in because if you
Yeah.
asked any A-list Hollywood actor or major recording artist, that is the one piece of advice they always give: never give up. And I want to I don't think we can like overstate how important that is, because I always tell my students failure only occurs the moment you give up. That's when you fail. You know, look, I'm a video game composer. I always wanted to be a feature film composer, and I didn't get to do a feature film till I was 45 years old. So does that mean between 25 and 45 I was a failure? No, because I never gave up on the dream of scoring a film. End of story. Now, the other thing I wanted to quickly add to your point, Levi, is that you and your generation are able to do everything on your own terms. Okay. And that's
Great.
very
Yeah.
different than the world that Pascal and I came from.
Hmm.
Okay. And I'll give you a small example of this. Okay. Um, so when Pascal and I were coming up, there was this old adage in the music industry, which was, "Hey, it's all about who you know, man." So, in other words, in order to succeed in the music industry or in the film business, you had to have the right connections. It was all about who you knew.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
this is something I've thought about a lot with watching your generation over the last 20 years. And what I've come to realize is that it's not anymore about who you know, it's about who knows you. And so when I say that you can do things on your own terms, that's precisely what I mean. You and your generation through social media, it's now about who knows you. The first big example that I can think of, so like it was all about who you knew between the early
Hmm.
days of the industry all the way to about 2010 when we saw Justin Bieber get signed, right?
Hmm.
Love him or not, it's not the point. He's a case study in, oh wow, look at this guy. Look how many YouTube followers he has. Look how many, crazy teenage girls are following him. We better sign him. And then there was a bidding war. Every record label on earth was like, we want Justin Bieber. And he chose the one probably that paid him the most and gave him the most creative and artistic freedom. Um, so it's so important to tell young people that you have to embrace the technology. You have to be authentic. And since here we are, there we go. My little my public service announcement on being authentic. Be authentic. Embrace the technology. Never give up, no matter what happens, ever. Also, understand and recognize opportunity. I think this is one of the biggest things that young people are not able to do. Okay. I'm going to give you the greatest example in human history of a corporation seizing on opportunity and changing the course of human history as we know it. So, Apple Computers Incorporated was a computer and software company up until Steve Jobs recognized, hey, there's this new emerging market, the game industry and the phone market. And he created the number one telephone on earth and the number one gaming console. More people play games on iPhones than any other console in the world. So recognize opportunity when it's out there. When I arrived in Hollywood, California in 1996, I wanted to be a film composer. But I recognized opportunity, video games. I love games. I'm a gamer. Hell yes, I'll write music for your video game. So yeah, that's it. That's my little. It's more than 2 cents. I'm going to go with that was my nickel's worth.
Yeah, so I mean that's point number four. Again, the 4 points: embrace technology. So David just described what that looks like. So embrace technology to get noticed. So use AI and other technology for podcasting, for video creation, for social media marketing. Deepen your understanding of how you get noticed. You know, who's my audience? What do they care about? Why do they buy or not buy? Why, what pains them? How do we give them what they want that resonates with them? All of those are around marketing in the 21st century. It's about getting noticed. So embrace technology, recognize AI is going to reduce our income in certain ways, become ambidextrous. And that way you buffer the loss of income. You have multiple skills because not only can you do A, you can also do B, C, D, and E. So you're not going to starve and end up on the street just because you're a one-trick pony. And deepen your understanding of marketing. That's our recipe, overall recipe. And it's not easy. It's in a way, it's not fair because you all, young creators, have got to learn all this extra stuff. You got to learn
Amen.
video, social media, design, marketing,
Mm,
and you got to learn how to play piano and guitar or how to act or how to do graphic arts or whatever your skill is, you know. It is what it is.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so true, Pascal. It's
Yeah.
unfair. They have to learn all this extra stuff.
But let me tell you something. People will prosper going forward. Artists, creators, and people in general. People will prosper who can use technology, who can use AI and AI agents, which are coming. AI agents, AI agents are going to be like AI people that can do specific things for you. So people will prosper that can use technology to execute a great project, a great enterprise. For us, it's the Crazy Angels band, but that means they can do the marketing, they can make the videos, they can do the social media content, they can put together a great podcast and sustain it for the long term. That's like magic, right? But
The only
that's
other
what's
quick,
needed.
yeah, the only other quick thing I want to add on to this whole discussion, protect your mental health, people, because
Yeah,
social media, all the science is in. It's all been done. And it
yeah,
all concludes the same thing. The more you use it, the more anxious you get, the more depressed you get. It is toxic 100%, but it is a necessary evil. And you must learn to understand that if a fan
well
says,
said.
oh, Pascal Dennis producer is a piece of crap. He doesn't know anything about production. That's more of a reflection on the person who said that than on my production skills.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, just protect your mental health, man. Keep that shit in check. Sorry if I can say that, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's the only thing I wanted to add. Just keep it real, folks. One of my favorite expressions in the digital age is go out and touch some grass. I don't know who first said that, but it's such a good thing to keep
No,
in
it's
mind.
true though. It's true. Sometimes
That's
just,
where ambidexterity is so good. Levi, you were saying.
yeah, no, no, it's true. And I think overall, we shouldn't think that this is the end of being a creative full time. I think we should be optimistic in the sense that
Agreed.
um, it's going it's going to cause an evolution in art. I think that's the better way of thinking about
Mhm.
AI.
The only other thing I just quickly want to say to the world at large, and in line with what you guys were discussing about, starting a school. If I personally, I won't speak for my other two esteemed colleagues, but if anybody ever wants help, like, to figure all this shit out, contact me. I'll help you. I will. I have limited time, but with that time, I'm very much generous with it, and certainly of trying to help people. I always have been that way. So don't be shy. So if you don't know how to figure it out, you know, I might regret this. I might get 10,000 emails tomorrow.
Well, if you all
Uh,
are
Yeah.
interested in how to build an audience, 21st century marketing for
Yeah, let us know.
creators, let us know. We can put together a course.
yeah.
Levi, over to you. Your insights are always the most insightful because David and I are old farts, and
We're old farts.
you
I
Official.
speak
You
to a
forgot
bigger
stinky.
audience, I think.
Old
No.
stinky farts. But yeah, who's counting?
I lost the connection for a moment there. Did you guys say I should
We were just giving you your corner, like your
oh
full
yeah.
Levi's
Oh, I
corner.
have another full Levi's corner. All right.
You do.
Okay. Um yeah, my question to you two would be um how would you approach as a young creative to uh, invest your energy in your creative career and at the same time your second pillar, which is probably that which will support you. It's kind of difficult to understand what is enough effort or not. How do you set yourself the goals in order to, feel dignified, even though, you will never have the moment wow, I made it, it's going to be more a process. So the question is, how do you define um, what where is the dignified
It's a
aspect
great
in it?
question. David, did you want to take a crack at it?
I mean, look, I think, my situation, I guess, is a little bit different because I really suck at everything. I'm pretty good at talking and communicating, which made me a natural for teaching. But I mean, I suck at math and I failed everything. My reading comp, all that is terrible. So I literally could only do music. That was literally my only choice in life. It was that or become a janitor or work at a McDonald's. And those are honorable jobs. They're anyone who makes money honestly is that's freaking honest work. There's no shame in that. But I would not have been
Absolutely.
satisfied as an artist. I wouldn't have been, my artistic soul would have died in one of those jobs.
Okay.
So I think that this goes back to the Hans Zimmer thing. Like, only do this job if it's like you really have nothing else in life that you're good at. Now, as far as how much time and effort you should put in it, I'm going to say something that is going to be the most sobering thing that the audience, especially, your generation, is
Yeah.
going to ever hear. If you want to do this to be famous, don't do it. You're completely in the wrong business. Okay. I have this button here for a reason. We do things authentically on this channel. Everything about this channel is authentic. And so I think that if you want to be famous, don't do this as a job. Now, for those who are artists, real artists that really, and by the way, when you're a young artist, you don't really even know that you're an artist yet. You always feel like you're not legitimate and you're not good enough and I suck and you're constantly seeking validation. By the way, all normal, folks. Um, it's only when you sort of get later on in life and you realize, like, yeah, actually, I'm an artist now, Um, as to how much effort and balance, like, I think that so first of all, there's a lot of things here, man. Like, do you want to have kids? Like, do you want to
Yeah.
get married and settle down and have a family? Like, this is like, you have to ask yourself these questions. You
Yeah.
you must. Um, so like, look at John Lennon. Basically ignored his first son, Julian, but then because he was madly in love with Yoko Ono, he treasured Sean Lennon, like the rising sun. So you know what I mean? Like, artists are selfish by their very nature, generally speaking, not all, but generally I think they are. And I think by design they have to be because it's about their art. It's about their art first, you know? So I think if like as far as like how much effort, I think it comes down to this. Look, this is such a difficult question. Levi, this is why we need Levi's Corner
Too
because you're asking the good
existential, sorry.
questions. It is because here's
Great
the
question.
point, man. I did not live a full, rich, balanced life. My life was I mean, I never did drugs. I didn't do alcohol, none of that crap. But I was terrible in relationships for the longest time. So I think a lot of things, it depends. Like, do you want to have your mental health balanced? Like, have a good circle of friends?
I
Do you want
guess
to
so.
have a significant
Yeah.
other?
Hmm.
Like, if this is the case, like, I don't see you realistically having any time for your art. Sorry, I'm calling it the way I see it or the way I experienced it. That's better. That
Hmm.
doesn't make it true. That doesn't make it true. Okay. But I think every waking moment is the answer. You should put every waking moment you have into gaining skills and divide them equally. You know, do 4 hours study to become the carpenter, the best carpenter, and then do 4 hours of study on music theory and counterpoint. It. That's it. That's all I got. I
No,
think
that's
that's a
great.
good answer.
That's a
That's
good
good.
answer. Well, what I just building on David's point, first of all, in order to do this, in order to become good at your art and great at your art, and also to live a dignified life, to do all the things we're talking about, at a very basic level, you have to be good at self-management, the skills of time management, the skills of focus, of recognizing what has value and what doesn't, and you have to be brutal about eliminating what doesn't have value. All the time wasters, forget it. You haven't got time. If you want to be a great artist and you want to be a carpenter or an engineer like me or a manager or a landscaper or whatever it is that allows you to be ambidextrous and live a decent life, authenticity uh, requires you ask and answer some basic questions. And David alluded to them. So, number one question is, who am I? What do I believe in? Question two. Question three is, where am I going and how am I going to get there? Those are the four key questions. And maybe we should do workshops or courses on that because I think
Yeah.
young people in general need guidance on those things. Once you have those, it's like you've got this compass inside you. And it's much easier to focus because I know who I am, I know what I believe in, I know where I'm going. So it's easy to say, well, that has no relevance for me. I'm not going to get distracted. And that allows you to build that ambidexterity. So then you're a brilliant pianist or actor or graphic artist or video maker, and you also are a terrific landscaper or engineer or actuary or engine, or carpenter or whatever you want. And if you can pick complementary skills, it's really good.